Okay, Chapter 3, Vocabulary. There is a printout sheet that will be available online, and there are 8 vocabulary words. Some of them have stars next to them because you will not find these definitions in the textbook, so you're going to leave them blank until we go over them in class. This chapter we're creating a foldable, and usually our foldables we create as a separate piece of paper outside of our notebook, but this time we want to have this foldable inside your notebook so that you have them with your Chapter 3 notes. So I'm going to go in my notes section where my Chapter 2 notes ended, and I'm going to take the next available piece. I'm going to fold the piece. I got to take on the left-hand side. I'm going to fold this piece into its center here. And it's got to be on the left-hand side, the piece of paper that I'm folding into its center. So then I'm going to be able to read them and open up the flap that way. Next, I'm going to divide up my sections here to cut slits in my paper. And I've divided up and counted by 3 or 4 lines. I made little marks. So I'm going to take my scissors and just this top section here, I am going to cut a slit to the center fold. So I just have a slit here, halfway to my paper, and when I open it up, then I have the space to write there too. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to continue to cut these just to my center fold. And I'm only cutting the top part of this paper. The directions are on this handout sheet as well. At the end here, I kind of have a lot left, so I just kind of split it in half. Now I'm going to write my vocabulary words that I can get from this sheet on the top of each of these flaps. So this one is algebraic expression, and I can get them off the sheet here. Then I have algebraic equation. So I would continue to write just the vocabulary words on the top of this. Now I'll be able to open it up and have my definition and example inside this flap. I could write on the left-hand side over here or just the right-hand side, whatever I want. So when it's closed, I won't see the definition, I'll just see the words, so I can think about it and practice it, and then open it up and check my definition as I'm studying these throughout the chapter. This time when you are finding the definitions, we would like you to use your your index in the textbook. The back part, we want you to find where these words are in the index, because you will find that in Chapter 3 we don't have all of these vocabulary words highlighted and in each lesson. So find them in the index. Some of these we've already talked about. So if I go to A and I'm finding algebraic expression, here are all the pages that I can find algebraic expression on. I'm going to just start with this first one by the bold word algebraic expressions, because that is probably where, page 44 is probably where it's highlighted and first introduced. Oh, sure enough, here it is highlighted and introduced, because this was back in lesson 1.6, because we've already been over it, but we're talking about algebraic expressions again. So I'm going to read the paragraph that has this definition in it and write my vocabulary definition down. So it says an expression n plus 2 is called an algebraic expression because it contains variables, numbers, and at least one operation. So I'm going to write, it's a math sentence, because we can call them sentences, that contains variables, because that's where you get the algebraic part, numbers, and at least one operation. Could be more than one operation, because it'd be longer. Okay, so there's my definition, and of course I like to have examples. So this is n plus 2 is my example of an algebraic expression. So then next I would find back in my index, algebraic equation. So going back to the A's, algebraic equation says C equations. So then I go to E to see equations, and they're talking about two-step equations on LA6. LA6. So what is LA6? You're asking yourself. I'm flipping through, and I think I saw it. Oh, here. LA1, LA2, LA3, LA6. And it talks about to solve equations with variables. And it's talking about multi-step equations. So I can look here and kind of get an idea of what equations are and write a definition for that. You can ask your teacher if you don't know. You could use the internet as a resource if you don't know what to do for a definition if you get stuck. So then you can just go ahead and finish your words and your definitions. One more thing, these starred ones, like I said, you're going to wait until we go over them in class because you won't find the words in there at all. Practice and study them. We don't just do this for an assignment. We do this as a way to study. And then be careful of all these pages when you're opening and closing your notebook and stuff. Because when you close them, you might have to close them a little carefully a little bit when you get all done. And then it'll be a nice way to find your chapter really quickly.